Along the rugged, windswept cliffs of Sheringham, a small coastal town on the Norfolk coast, the sea was both a friend and a foe of the villagers. The tides could bring bounty to the fisher folks, but they could also steal away lives in a blink of an eye. The villagers spoke of many things on those cold nights by the fire, of shipwrecks, of mysterious lights in the fog, and of the mermaid that was said to haunt the shores. The story of the mermaid was passed down through generations, whispers among the old fishermen who knew the sea better than anyone. They spoke of a creature with long flowing hair, as dark as the midnight sea, a hauntingly beautiful face, and a voice that could lure any sailor to his doom. The mermaid, it was said, had been cursed by the sea. Once she had been a human woman, a sailor's wife, who had lived in Sheringham long ago. Her husband, a fisherman, had gone out to sea one stormy night and never returned. She waited for him day after day, but the sea claimed him, just as it had claimed so many others. Heartbroken and grief-stricken, the woman had wandered the cliffs every evening, staring out into the waves, praying for a glimpse of her husband's ship. One night, under the full moon, a strange figure appeared to her on the shoreline. A tall, shadowy figure, with eyes as deep as the ocean. It was an old woman, a mysterious sea witch, who had seen the woman's grief and took pity on her. The witch offered the woman a deal. She would turn her into a mermaid, allowing her to live forever beneath the sea, so she could be close to her lost love. But there was a terrible price. The woman would be bound to the sea forever, unable to return to land or to the world of humans. Desperate, the woman agreed, and with a wave of the witch's hand, she was transformed. Her legs fused into the long, shimmering tail of a mermaid, and her once human voice was replaced by an eternal, haunting song that could captivate even the most seasoned sailor. For years, the mermaid lived beneath the waves, the salty water becoming her only home. But something inside her twisted. The sadness of her lost love turned into a dark hunger, a need for vengeance. The mermaid's voice, once sweet and mournful, became a law, a siren's call that no man could resist. Sailors who had heard the song were drawn into the waves, unable to escape. Their ships dashed against the rocks. The villagers spoke of the mermaid's haunting melody, which would rise from the depths of the sea at night, luring fishermen out onto the water. They said that if you heard the mermaid's song, you were already doomed. No man could resist its pull, and those who did venture out would never return. As the years passed, the mermaid's curse grew stronger. Her grief and anger consumed her, and she became a terror of the coast. The sea witch, who had granted her the gift of immortality, would sometimes be seen in the distance, watching from the cliffs, as though ensuring that the mermaid fulfilled her role in the ancient bargain. And one evening, a young fisherman named Thomas, new to Sheringham and eager to prove his skills, set out in his boat with the setting sun. The night was calm, the sea eerily still, and the air was thick with the scent of salt. He had heard the stories, of course, but like most young men, he thought they were just old tales meant to frighten the inexperienced. He had no fear of the sea and no interest in superstitions. As his boat gently rocked on the water, a soft melody began to drift on the wind. At first it was so faint that he thought it was the wind itself playing tricks on him, but then it grew louder, a haunting, eerily beautiful voice that seemed to reach into his very soul. The voice sang of love, of loss, and of longing. It was a song unlike any Thomas had ever heard. Entranced, he followed the sound, his boat drifting towards the jagged cliffs. The fog began to roll in, thick and cold, swirling around him. But still, he couldn't resist. The voice called to him, pulling him deeper into the mist. And then, through the haze, he saw her. She rose from the water with long dark hair, flowing like seaweed, her eyes glimmering with the reflection of the moon. The mermaid's tail shimmered, and her beauty was overwhelming. She beckoned to him, her eyes filled with sorrow and hunger. "Swim to me," she whispered, her voice like the wind through the trees. "Come to me, and I will show you the depths of the sea." Thomas's heart pounded in his chest, and though a part of him screamed to turn back, his body betrayed him. He reached out towards her, mesmerized by her voice, by her beauty. He knew that he was in danger, but the mermaid's gaze held him in a trance. He had no choice but to obey. As he leaned over the side of the boat, the fog thickened, and suddenly she was there, right in front of him. Her cold hands touched his, and for the briefest moment he felt the chill of the deep sea in his bones. Then she smiled. But it wasn't a smile of warmth. It was a smile of something far darker. Her mouth opened, revealing rows of sharp, glistening teeth, and she pulled him closer, her voice now a terrible, bone-chilling screech. Before Thomas could scream, the boat was overturned, and the cold, black water swallowed him whole. The mermaid's laughter echoed through the night as she dragged him beneath the waves, her song now a triumphant, cruel melody. The villagers, hearing the distant cries and the unnatural silence that followed, knew at once what had happened. Thomas was just the latest victim of the Mermaid of Sheringham. The sea would claim him, as it had claimed so many before him. To this day, the people of Sheringham knew to stay away from the water at night, especially when the fog rolls in, thick and heavy. On those nights, if you listen closely, you might hear the faint, haunting melody of the mermaid's song, drifting across the waves, and if you're foolish enough to follow it, you may find yourself lost to the depths, just like Thomas, another soul claimed by the mermaid, bound to the sea for eternity. And the legend of the mermaid, like the tide, never fades. It only grows stronger with every passing generation.